Dear friends and family, this is a task you relegate to some distant future, foolishly hoping that the day would never arrive. But for me, it has arrived. I must both face it and bid farewell to a parent. Trust me, Dad hasn't made this task any easier. Dad has spoken, as you're aware, at hundreds of weddings and funerals in his lifetime. I can assure you that you would have never found the following combination: me at a podium with a mic and Dad physically sitting in the same room. It is obvious why. As far as I'm concerned, he was born with a mic. Words and ideas appropriately strung together just flowed through him, clearly touched by some higher power. So naturally, I'm thinking, I just hope he is not rating me right now. In the more recent days, when Dad was not doing so well, Dad and I were at the Auckland hospital. I was just told by the doctors that the prospects were grim, and I was alone in a room with Dad, processing this truth. Suddenly, a beautiful, angel-like Fijian nurse walked into the room, and she said, "I was going through the list today, and I saw his name, so I just had to make my way to this ward. Is it him?" taking Dad's name. I said, "Yes." Then she said, her exact words, "You know, I always wanted to meet him in person. Just a few weeks ago, I was talking to my children and husband, and I said, if there's one man I want to meet, it is him. And today, I got to meet him. He is a great man. In his heydays, I was a young girl, and I used to follow his speeches in the papers back home. The way he used to speak, he had a great mind. He was not like the others. He was so impartial." As she turned around and saw me distraught and distressed, she said, "You shouldn't be upset. You should be proud of your father and that he is your father." But what touched me the most is when she uttered the next words. "He was a good man." Yes, I am truly blessed that he was my father. Then before she left the room, with much reverence, she paid her last respects to Dad and left. I just sat there thinking, yes, it's true. Nothing is really ever a waste. Dad needn't worry about any fleeting thought he may have entertained about the futility of what he spent the most precious years of his life trying to achieve. It would be incongruous of me to speak about what I shared with Dad, owing to its very nature. What I shared with Dad is sacred, and I do not wish to disturb the sanctity of it. Apart from being deeply personal, I wouldn't dare use words, too fearful it would somehow reduce it in some way or change its flavor. Needless to say, Dad conveyed a lot more by what he did rather than what he said. He wasn't about superfluous exchanges. Frankly, I think he had some disdain for it. Dad could speak through a silent moment or a simple glance. It has taken some years and maturity on my part to understand that some of the highest truths are only found in silence. Dad was a big, roaring wave in the ocean of consciousness. Hard to miss. In life, we all play our respective roles, and Dad played all of his to the hilt, fearlessly and selflessly. He danced the big dance. He had an exceptionally expanded consciousness. It was never about me, mine, how much, what is in it for me, or acquisitions. He touched many lives and with real impact. Dad had a constant eye on the bigger picture. What always struck me about Dad was his deep sense of responsibility. His modus operandi was, what is my responsibility here, and how do I discharge it to the best of my ability? This applied equally in both his public and personal life. He was never afraid of a challenge or to give. I grew up in an open home. I was fortunate to grow up in an open home where many flocked in to see Dad, seeking both his counsel and advice. Dad was always willing to give, generous with both his time and knowledge. Yes, it's true he could have a short fuse and at times had little tolerance for what he considered pettiness or a perspective that just wasn't as wide as his. But along with that, Dad had an acute understanding of the human condition and its frailties. And this meant that he was also capable of deep compassion when and where it was required. Some people demand something of you, not because what they have or what they do. It is because of who they are, their essence, and their being. It was always funny to watch how Dad's presence in a room commanded something out of people. Whether people liked it or not, they helplessly gave him such reverence and respect. Such was his aura. Mum, Dad's closest ally in life, at times took it upon herself to challenge this. Mum would say, Jay, you do realize that if there was a mango tree in front of you right now and you called it tamarind, your brothers would say yes to you? Dad would have a cheeky grin on his face, a smirk, too perceptive to have missed this truth, but he always had sufficient humility to go with it. Dad was a fighter. Alzheimer's robbed him of many things. But the one thing it could never take away was the recognition of his nearest and dearest. On one occasion, although there was no reason to, owing to my own insecurities, I made the foolish mistake of asking him, "What is my name?" He gave me that dismissive look he is famous for and replied, "Why, don't you know your own name, Sandhya?" On Monday night, in the final act, before the curtain dropped, a lovely gentleman from Anne's funeral home, he is most likely in the room now, I believe I just saw him outside, thank you for your kind words that night, arrived at Murray Halberg, a place which had become home in recent times, to escort Dad to the car. During one of the most profound and saddest moments in my life, as we made this long walk together, he said to me, "Are you his daughter?" I said, "Yes." He said he was one of Fiji's legends. In that moment, I could only utter this truth. He loved Fiji, to which he then replied, "Yes, he gave his life, soul, and everything to Fiji." How befitting, I thought. Life's impermanence hits you particularly hard at such junctures in your life as you grapple with your losses. When everything that seems so real dissolves, the perennial questions that plague mankind become even more prominent. What does all this mean? What then is the ultimate truth? And what is my real nature? To this end, I wish to dedicate my English recital of a Sanskrit stota written by Adi Shankaracharya, a great sage and master over 1,200 years ago, and the poem is titled, "Who Am I?" Who am I? I am not the mind, the intellect, the ego, or the memory. I am not the ears, the skin, the nose, or the eyes. I am not space, not earth, not fire, water, or wind. I am that eternal truth, pure consciousness and bliss. Shivoham. I am not the breath, nor the 5 elements. I am not matter, nor the 5 sheaths of consciousness, nor am I the speech, the hands, or the feet. I am that eternal truth, pure consciousness and bliss. Shivoham. There is no like or dislike in me, no greed or delusion. I know not pride or jealousy. I have no duty, no desire for wealth, lust, or liberation. I am that eternal truth, pure consciousness and bliss. Shivoham. No virtue or vice, no pleasure or pain. I need no mantras, no pilgrimage, no scriptures or rituals. I am not the experienced, nor the experience itself. I am that eternal truth, pure consciousness and bliss. Shivoham. I have no fear of death, no caste or creed. I have no father, no mother, for I was never born. I am not a relative, nor a friend, nor a teacher, nor a student. I am that eternal truth, pure consciousness and bliss. Shivoham. I am devoid of duality. My form is formlessness. I exist everywhere, pervading all senses. I am neither attached, neither free, nor captive. I am that eternal truth, pure consciousness and bliss. Shivoham. We are all booked on some flight, blissfully ignorant of the date and time. Dad has just taken his flight, and I sincerely hope and pray that both his journey and destination are filled with unshakable peace, love, and light. Dad, you won't be missed because you will always be a part of me.